So what exactly happened with you and your thyroid?
So for me, I actually had symptoms when I was a teenager.
Oh, okay, and what did that look like?
It was rough. I started noticing that I was getting really anxious. And that was very new for me because I started having the heart palpitations, and then I started noticing that my memory was getting weird, or my skin started to get more dry than normal. And I know I have sensitive skin, but it was getting a little too sensitive.
Right. Welcome back to Candid Convos. I am Nurse E, if you did not know that, and this is my wonderful platform where I talk to my audience and viewers about everything health, everything life, everything purpose. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Ebony, like my name is Ebony, but you're going to call me Nurse E and we're going to call her Ebony.
Yes.
Okay? So I'm with the I, she's with the Y, and I'm so happy that she is here. And so I want to take an opportunity to let her tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to jump into the fabulous topic that we are planning to talk about today. All right, Ebony, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Nurse E, for introducing me. It's always so funny because I actually have not met another Ebony since I was in middle school.
Wow.
And there were like 5 Ebonies.
Yeah.
And so everyone would always be like, ooh, which one are you?
Right.
You're the redheaded one. Great.
Right.
So I'm Ebony, and I currently work at Johns Hopkins. I am a supervisor in health IT.
Okay.
So while I work in IT, I also have a dotted line to nursing administration.
Okay.
So I do a lot of training and education. So I'm supporting our nurses, our doctors, all of our clinical staff in terms of how do we use the electronic medical record when it comes to things with AI, how do we support our clinicians and providers with using the tools, and then any type of implementation. And what I mean by that is, let's say we're about to use a new physical therapy software or note type, for example, I would go in and support that staff in doing that so that they can take care of patients and that they're not as stressed out.
Yes.
And in addition to that, I am getting my doctorate in health administration with a focus on policy and advocacy.
Okay.
And I have a podcast called the Thyroid Warrior Podcast. And I do a lot of advocacy work. I'm a personal trainer, aromatherapist, studying herbalism. And
the list goes on.
It
goes on and on.
So that's a couple of things. And I'm just really excited and more recently excited about helping other Black women when it comes to their health.
Oh, yeah.
And helping them learn how to advocate for themselves and recognize that you're not crazy. You're not missing it. It's not just all in your head. Those physical manifestations of things happening in our body are real.
Yeah.
And we need to start using our voice to share those things, to talk about what's going on, and to really know and understand that there are people out there that want to see you well.
Yes.
And I believe in creating a legacy for generations to come when it comes to serving Black women. And that is what I am literally birthing with my platform now, because I've just been doing a lot of things health-wise, just to take care of myself and to honor the promise that I made to my family about helping other people learn how to speak up for themselves.
That's good.
So that's me.
That's you in a nutshell. Now, who is Ebony outside of pursuing the doctorate and the podcast platform and working at Johns Hopkins? Who is Ebony outside of that? Is that something you got to think about?
No.
Okay.
I am the silliest person you will ever meet. I love being outside. I love reading.
Right.
I love playing and exploring. I just got a puppy a few months ago.
Oh, wow.
His name is Henry Earl. He is an Australian Shepherd, and he is keeping me on my feet, honey.
Yes.
So I am learning about how to take care of myself, how to emotionally regulate through him.
Yes.
And just learning about all of those lessons that I want to enforce with him, that I've just always done because I've had rescues. Most of the time, he's the first puppy I've ever had. So it's learning the world. It is so new.
It's a new challenge. It's new. Getting a puppy, you guys, is like, ooh.
It's not for the weak.
It's not for the faint. You know what I mean? It's not. It's not. No. But yes, such an interesting, lovely woman.
You.
And so thank you so much for coming on Candid Convos with Nurse E. And so let's go ahead on and just jump right into what it is that we want to talk about. So today, you guys, we're going to talk about her passion. We're going to talk about thyroid health. And this is something that is really big, mainstream, especially with women, because that's who it predominantly affects. Thyroid disease. And the thyroid regulates so many things in the body. It is a major organ in the endocrine system, and it is actually, in order for it to produce hormones, it is stimulated from the anterior pituitary gland. It talks to the thyroid and says produce hormone. Well, there's a lot of things that go into play in order for it to produce and be used effectively, right? And so she is going to share with us exactly how she got into being a thyroid warrior, her personal experience, and then some takeaways for you to consider and or approach your provider about regarding your thyroid health.
Yes.
Okay?
I love this.
Yes. So what exactly happened with you and your thyroid?
So for me, I actually had symptoms when I was a teenager.
Oh, okay. And what did that look like?
It was rough. So for example, I am a very even, calm, happy-go-lucky person. I all of a sudden, I lost my birth father when I was 13, and then I lost my aunt my first semester of high school. And so there were a lot of things going on. My mom got really depressed and she was anxious because she was really close to her sister.
Right.
And I was just kind of going along and doing the things. And I started playing basketball and getting involved in school. And I went to a college preparatory high school, so the workload was intense.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to navigate the world.
Right.
But along my second semester into the springtime, I started noticing that I was getting really anxious. And that was very new for me because I was like, anxiety,
Right.
what's that?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
And so I started having the heart palpitations, and then I started noticing that my memory was getting weird, or my skin started to get more dry than normal. And I know I have sensitive skin, but it was getting a little too sensitive.
Right.
And the more interesting thing is I started my menstrual cycle at 13, but it was never regular.
Right.
So I would go maybe 1 to 2 months, it would be normal. And then all of a sudden it would be every 3 months, and then maybe every 6 months.
Right.
And I would tell my mom, and she's like, oh, you young, it's fine. It'll regulate itself. And it never did.
Right.
So that was one aspect of things that I was like, I'm seeing all the girls in the bathroom with their little tampons and their pads. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that a lot of girls in high school are talking about that type of stuff, and I wouldn't have anything to contribute, so I would just eat my lunch in peace and be like, oh, I'm cramping, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Right.
So that was the first set of symptoms that I just kind of was like, my mama said it's normal. I guess that's normal.
Yeah.
And I didn't think to talk about it when I would go to the doctor for my sports clearances.
Right.
So then over time, a couple years pass, I'm playing basketball, I'm playing lacrosse, and my knees start to hurt more than normal, which another caveat is I got in a car accident that, like, my dad died, got in a car accident, and then my aunt. So I went to physical therapy. I thought it was just a residual injury,
Right.
or just soreness or what have you. I again didn't think too much about it. Would go see the personal trainer after games, like, oh, I'm kind of sore. Help.
Right.
Again, joint pain is one of the symptoms, just ignored. And then on to my junior, senior year, the anxiety got worse. Couldn't remember things. I was starting to sweat a lot, and that thyroid sweat.
It's a different type of sweat. You hear me? Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm like, I would be in class, like, is that me? What is going on? So again, I'm talking to my mom. She's like, oh, girl, you're doing all them sports, you ripping and running.
Yeah.
You know, you're developing, you're growing hair. I'm like,
Right.
no, that
It's not okay.
it's not there.
And you know what I appreciate, Ebony, in this conversation is you were very aware for a high schooler.
Yeah.
And you didn't really accept the fact that this is normal.
No.
And it allowed you to become curious.
Yes.
And so what did your curiosity lead to?
It started leading me to questioning a lot of things with my mother, which did not bode well, because I'm like, now wait a minute. My mom has also been very sick and has high blood pressure and, you know, a lot of heart issues and fibromyalgia, which again, genetically speaking, with the diabetes that runs on my mom's family, with the fibromyalgia, like I started reading genetic studies in high school because I'm trying to connect the dots, and I'm like, this don't make no sense, because I wanted to become a doctor. So I'm using my AOL, my WW, my Facebook,
My Yahoo,
right?
all
It
that.
was all new at the time,
Right.
trying to just understand. And I go from being this top performing student to all of a sudden I'm struggling.
Right.
And I'm like, now wait a minute.
Right.
And the kids are mean. They're really mean. So I'm getting made fun of on top of having issues with my father passing.
Right. The car accident.
You know, all of these things, and coming from a low income family, but also being in this super rich, preppy high school.
Right.
And you already get that sense that you don't fit in. So when you can excel in one area, it's just like, wait a minute. This was the one thing that I had. What happened?
Right.
So I think I had turned 18 and I was able to go to the doctor by myself. And I just remember talking to the doctor about all these things, and she was like, what?
Right.
And I had asked her about getting on birth control, and she was like, are you sexually active? I said, no, but I read that can help regulate your cycle. And my hair has started falling out, and my hair is getting really brittle. And she just looking at me like, what?
Right.
Like, you're too young to be having all this stuff happen.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff going on at home, so she's asking me all these screening questions, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but are these symptoms normal?
Yes.
Because I'm about to go to college, and I need to understand what I'm dealing with. What is this? So that was really the start of not really getting answers. And you know, oh, you're just a hormonal teenager. Oh, it's just hormones. Like, I remember just being really angry for no reason.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm starting to get depressed because no one believes me.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to my family saying, oh, these kids now. I'm like, I'm not that problem child.
Right.
I'm telling you what's going on. Why are you not listening to me? So it's happening at home. It's happening
At
in
the
healthcare.
doctors.
It's happening at school, partially because my teacher's looking at me like, girl, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. So I'm telling them, like, I can't remember anything. And they're looking at me like, what you mean you can't remember anything? So they don't know how to help.
Right.
So fast forward, I get to college. I had a severe kidney infection.
Oh, wow.
Like, thankfully, I worked in the health center. So I literally crawled to the health center. I'm like, look, I'm hot. I'm nauseous. I can't breathe. The room is spinning.
Right.
I don't know what's going on. Help.
Right.
And that infection basically triggered like this downstream effect of getting constant UTIs. And then the vertigo started. And then my memory got really bad. And I was running track at the time. And the heart palpitations, the tremors were insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I know I'm going from high school track and field and basketball and athletics to college, but it should not be doing this.
Yeah, the math wasn't mathing.
It was not. And you know, everybody jokes about the freshman 15. I was more like the freshman 40. And so I was like, okay. Again, everyone at home was like, ooh, you done got thick. I'm like, no.
Right.
My joints hurt more. Okay? I can't fit my clothes.
Right.
All right. I was just in the hospital because of my kidney. Now my right kidney is bigger than my left.
Yeah.
Now I'm having all these other things happening. I'm pulling out clumps of hair.
Right.
Save me with the thickums comments, please.
Right.
And it wasn't until I did a research program at Yale when I was 21 that summer that was literally the culmination of finally figuring out what was going on. So from about 14
to
21, 21, 22,
Yep.
people were just like,
Brushing you off. And so can I just say something to that point? And you work with healthcare providers, and you know that I'm a healthcare provider.
Yes.
I want to apologize because one thing that I like to stress to my viewers, to my audience, to my friends, to my family, you want a provider that is going to listen to you, is going to partner with you in what it is that you have going on. If you have someone that you present your symptoms to and they brush you under the rug or they minimize it, that's not someone that you should be working with, despite if they're covered with your insurance or not.
correct.
You want someone who is going to be just as curious as you are about your health. And one thing that I appreciate about you, Ebony, is there was just a level of humility, like, hey, I'm coming to the experts on this. And then there was, I feel like, an ego of theirs where it's like, okay, she needs help, but I don't really have time to look into it. And I already know what's wrong, so be on your way.
Literally.
Yeah, so I want to apologize for that because that's a healthcare provider that I don't want to be.
Yeah. And I can already tell that that is not the person that you are. And what really made me act a bit of a fool, I'm not even gonna lie. I was over it at this point because I would be in the lab and I would be handling these super expensive specimen and the room would be spinning. And I used to so when you're in a lab, there is this bench, that bench, space. And I used to put a cushion on the lab bench behind me, and you stand on the little mats. I would put like extra ones down so that if I passed out, I wouldn't give myself a concussion.
Yeah.
And then I also had insomnia, so I would go to the lab late at night. So I would definitely want to have this. And I literally put this kind of call bell at my station so that if something did happen, I could easily call 911 and wouldn't have to talk. And when I kept going back and forth to the ER, kept going back and forth, and this PA starts asking me questions. And I work in a health center, so I know the questions that he's asking me. He's asking me, naturally, you're going to ask your sexually transmitted disease questions, partners, whatever. But he kept pushing. And finally, I said to him, you know what? I recognize that there's a certain level of screening that you have to do, but you're asking me a little bit too much about HIV and AIDS, and I don't appreciate that. If I have told you that I am not currently sexually active and you keep pressing me and you're asking me the same question in different ways, I find that really offensive. And I would really appreciate it if you could get me another healthcare provider that could do my intake, because I'm not doing this. You can clearly see on my chart that I have been here every other day. Spare me with those questions, please. Because I'm not thinking about laying in the bed with nobody when I can barely breathe.
Right.
Okay?
That's it. Okay.
So the attending finally came in. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. We're going to do some more testing. And I said, okay. Y'all have tested everything under the sun. Here's what I would like to do. Can you bring me the sheet with the lab tests on it? And she was like, okay. I said, can I borrow your pen for a second? And I literally checked off everything. I checked it all off. Especially because no one had ever ran an antibody test at all. They would just do like a TSH, sometimes a T3, sometimes they're like, everything's fine. I'm like, them reference ranges ain't matching. And this, yeah, we gonna check off all these TGAB, yeah, we gonna TPO, let me get all that. And I literally checked off everything for rheumatoid arthritis, for lupus, all the things. And she was like, why are you doing all that? And I forget her name. I said, I'm tired of asking questions. And I keep coming to you all thinking that something is going to change, and it doesn't. So I'm trying very, very hard to be respectful every time I come in here, because I honor and value how much time you all have put into this. But now it's my turn. And now I'm asking you to check it all off and test everything, because I'm not leaving here again with no answers to what's wrong with me. I can't even walk out of here without, there are days I don't even remember how I got back to my room. I am 21 years old and I feel like I'm 91. That is no way to live. And I'm not doing it anymore. And she said, okay. I said, if I gotta spend every last penny of my stipend, okay? Because you know them research assistant stipends.
Right.
They was a couple of coins. But I was like, I will eat some ramen noodles. Okay? Because I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Literally, my vitamin D was like 2.
In the trash.
My vitamin B levels, done. All of my, everything was just off. My
So
CBC,
what were they
my
saying was normal?
They never looked at it. They would just discharge me and say, you're young, you're healthy, your blood pressure is fine.
Okay. So while in college, that's when you found out that you had thyroid disease, and that the vitamin D and the vitamin B and everything else, the trace minerals, all of that was affected by the thyroid. So what did it look like when you identified, okay, I have a thyroid issue?
So I had the endocrinologist come in, pat, Hashimoto's. The goiter that I had.
And they didn't even look at that? And when did that develop? So a goiter, let's talk about that.
Yes.
What does a goiter look like? It's your thyroid that is enlarged. It's inflamed. Yeah, I'm so sorry you had that.
And it's so interesting because I looked at pictures, I barely took pictures of myself during that time. And I remember I had the cutest haircut, child. Like I was like, oh, she cute. Yeah, that fall I cut all my hair off because I was tired of it falling out.
Yeah.
Think that they also thought I had kidney stones, child. It's real fun passing a kidney stone that doesn't exist. But I went home to Detroit and I found an endocrinologist myself, Dr. Stephanie Lucas, and she was a Black woman. And I took her all my paperwork, all my labs. I literally kept it in a folder and I would bring it home with me on breaks because I would try to find a doctor and I would go here. I would go to a cardiologist. I would do all these things. And I said, Dr. Lucas, this is what I'm working with. I finally got the diagnosis. I get it. I've spent all night trying to understand because at that time, there wasn't as much information out that we have today.
Yeah, the access.
So I was like, Hashi, I can't pronounce that. How you spell that? Hashi. Okay. Sorry to the Japanese man that figured this out because I'm struggling right now. Okay. But, her and I were talking and she was like, I love you. I said, thank you. All right. So what is we going to do? Okay.
Right.
And she said, you're so young to be put on a medication. Let's try your diet. Let's try supplementing with vitamin D. Let's look at some B12 shots for you. Child, I was taking 20,000 units of vitamin D a week for like 6 months. And even now, I've chuckled because I told my doctor last year, I was like, ooh, I ran out. I gotta go get it. And then I forgot. Homegirl sent me a message through my patient portal and was like, I just want to remind you, go get your vitamin D. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. My bad. She don't play about me, child. She does not play about
that's
me.
Good.
But after a while, I think we did that for like 6 months, trying to work on food and all the things to help my thyroid gland naturally. She really did try. Concerted effort, 10 out of 10. And then my body was like, girl, that ain't gonna cut it.
You needed something a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. So I ended up getting on the medication. She was like, I understand. I said, Dr. Lucas, I don't care. Because if I have to take a pill for the rest of my life versus losing my life because I'm being told I'm not getting enough oxygen to my brain, my oxygen saturation levels at one point were like 88, which should be like 98. And everybody looking at me and I'm looking at them and I'm like,
What was the medication that you were started on?
So I was started on Thyroid, and that did not work well for me at all. Like it literally made me tachycardic. Like my heart was like,
Right.
and again, I'm running track. And I literally had to stop into my junior year, going into my senior year when I was gonna be team captain. All of these like wishes and dreams that I had just qualified for regionals and all this stuff. And they were like, we're sorry, Ebony, but we can't have you out there running and you're telling us your heart is feeling like it's about to come out of your chest.
Yeah.
And I was devastated because I'm going to all these heart specialists. Then my joints are hurting. I can't really walk upstairs without getting out of breath. And at one point, they prescribed me beta blockers, and I politely took those back and said, either I'm gonna give them back or I'm gonna flush them down the toilet.
Right.
I can't do this.
Right.
And I was also taking antidepressants because I'm depressed.
1 minute.
Right.
Anxious.
Literally.
Another minute.
All the time.
Yeah.
That did nothing.
Right.
So I took those to the psychiatrist and said, okay, can I give these back? Or I'm gonna flush them down the toilet. Can we like wean me off of this somehow? Because this ain't working either.
Right.
I go back home for break. I talked to Dr. Lucas again. I said, I can't do this. I can't. I feel like And she's like, all right, well, let's try the generic and see how you do with that. So she had been sending me like different dosage changes when I was at school. And I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I can't do that. So we tried the generic, and I ended up having to change that maybe one more time, and I was fine. I literally remember telling my professors, I'm like, something's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. And they're like, that's none of my business. That's for your doctor. Like, you know, keep me out of it.
Right.
I think I went from having a 2.8 to a 3.8 once I finally got my medication adjusted. Could concentrate, could focus. Like, I literally felt like a completely different person.
I believe it.
Like,
so that was the breakthrough as far as medication wise. And you've been kind of stable since then. So that was 22, 23?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so have you made any changes to your medication regimen or anything like that since that time?
I think we had to adjust my dose twice since then.
Okay.
But the first adjustment was post-divorce. And it's funny because I remember telling my ex-husband at the time, I'm like, hey, I know we're not trying right now, but I just want to go and just figure this out because you're more likely to have miscarriage or have, you know, fertility issues when you have thyroid conditions, especially having Hashimoto's. I just want to make sure I'm good. He gave me a side eye. And I was like, I don't know what that's about, but okay. I'm not saying I want to get pregnant right now. So I went to my endocrinologist at the time. We got my blood work back. She was like, if you try tomorrow, let's say, you will miscarry. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
And I was devastated because I'm like, dang, am I doing something wrong? Like, you know, I'm eating well. I'm attempting to reduce stress.
Right. Yes.
I wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't. If I'm being really honest.
Was it? Okay, I believe you. I do believe you. Stress reduction can be difficult. And I think that I'm going to do a episode or a several part episode actually on what stress management looks like on a practical level.
Yes.
Yeah, because people really need to understand, you know, providers are always saying, hey, you know, lower your stress. Well, what does your, I remember a provider asked me, are you stressed? And I just bust out laughing. And I'm like, yeah, but this is my life. And then I had to take a deep dive into my life and say, okay, what do I need to say no to? Yeah. What do I need to say yes to? What do I need to make time for? What do I not need to make time for?
Correct.
What people do I need to continue to keep around? What people do I need to not necessarily discard, but keep at a distance? What conversations do I need to have? What conversations I don't need to have? The list goes on and on. And when I did that, I was able to manage my stress. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, continuously.
Yeah.
So you had a breakthrough. You're in a stable place now. Now your goal is to advocate for women, particularly Black women, in regards to their health and thyroid health. And so now you have a platform about the thyroid. So tell me about that platform and what you do and how you've helped people with that.
Yeah, so initially it was all about advocacy. So how do you have conversations with your providers when you go see them? Because you know you have limited time. How do you practice your patient story? Keep it at a minute, 5 minutes, or if you have a provider where you can spend a little bit more time, this is what you can do, ensuring that you have documentation. So if you have a patient portal, how do you get to that information? How do you even understand what you're looking at? How do you ask the appropriate questions? Because some people get white coat syndrome and they get nervous when they go to the doctor. So they're not even thinking about those things. And then when they go home, they're like, oh shoot, I should have wrote that down.
Yeah. Okay. So how to interview a provider, how to ask the questions that you need to ask regarding your health.
Yes.
And then kind of making them curious about what do they need to do in order to help you out.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Did it transition from advocacy into something else?
It did.
Okay, that's what I thought. And what did it transition into?
So then I realized, okay, yes, I can advocate for myself, but if I'm not taking care of my vessel, my temple, my physical body, those conversations become null and void. So then it morphed into personal training and nutrition coaching and health coaching. I recently just finished a program for that. And the breakthroughs that the women that I have worked with have had simply from having someone holding that space and asking them those questions and being curious and giving them that space to be able to explore for themselves. And I always tell them, you are the expert. I am simply here as a listening ear, literally. And you know what's best for you, but because we've spent so much time doubting ourselves, gaslighting ourselves, and thinking, well, maybe it's not that deep. Oh, girlfriend, yes, it is that deep.
It's as deep as the ocean. You hear me? As deep as the ocean.
Literally.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I will be creating a community to have Black women where we talk about health things, where I bring in experts to talk about various things down to nurse practitioners, clinicians, doctors, etc., pharmacists. Because we need to understand the medication that we taking, you know what I'm saying? Like, when should I take this? Wait a minute, I'm taking lisinopril. Should I be taking that?
Right.
My mom can't take it, for example.
Right.
She has an antibiotic allergy where she can't take Cipro, but I can. I can't take Bactrim, but she can. And just talking about like that family history to be able to say, wait a minute.
To put it all together.
Yeah.
And you being in the position that you're in with health administration and being around a number of doctors, excuse me, not just doctors, but medical providers, you're definitely going to be able to accomplish that and make some huge waves. And so I'm so excited for you, Ebony. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I think that was like the biggest takeaway. Like, okay, if I'm not feeling normal, I need to go and I need to talk to somebody about it. And then you need to get curious enough to do your own research. When she says you're the expert on what you're experiencing, how you're feeling, but you do need someone who has a level of education and is willing to be patient with you and take time with you to talk to you about what's going on, and then go ahead on and look at treatments and different things like that. So I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the space that you're holding for women, just women in general, Black women, also women who just don't have the confidence to do what you did at such a young age. And so helping them build that confidence for the ability to be able to advocate for themselves. And so you're doing some awesome things. Thank you so much for coming on Candid Convos with Nurse E. And I really believe that the viewers and my audience have gleaned so many gems from you during this conversation. So thank you.
No, thank you.
And as I end every episode, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, as Ebony has helped us see. And you have a plan and a purpose for your life. And I hope that with this episode, you move in purpose. All right, until the next time, be blessed, and I'll see you on the next episode.